Hi guys! So, Monday night we are going to go over lunar phases of the week. Awesome glare with my glasses. And meditation to either do tonight, do tomorrow morning, whenever you have your meditation set to do, how often you want to do them. That's all up to you. Let's go over the lunar phase that's going to take up a chunk of our time is the waxing crescent. You learned about the waning crescent. That was all about releasing. This is all about receiving and gaining energy, building off of that new moon we just experienced. Then we hit a really fun phase, the first quarter. First quarter is when you are going to get really rough challenges. That's going to be the one challenge of, this is going to really bug me, one challenge of that lunar cycle that you need to overcome, conquer, and fight for, because it's just telling the universe that you are serious about that intention you have set, and you can actually handle the challenges that that goal has to offer, because every blessing needs to be balanced out with a challenge, because not everything is yang. You need some yin so you can withstand it. How's it going? Now for that first quarter, I want to say it's a Friday. Don't quote me. I believe it's a Friday. We'll also be experiencing not only the lunar phase of receiving challenges to overcome and use for the rest of the lunar cycle before the full moon, we're also going to have Jupiter going or squaring up with Uranus. I'll talk more about what that means. If you want to read up in your planetary section, you can read up what transitions that means. It should be towards the end of your binder, which is going to facilitate your meditation about pressure in your life. Now, for your actual meditation piece, you're going to want to use labradorite, which is what you should have charged and worked with for the new moon. And for the waxing crescent phase, I want you to utilize some sort of calcite. Calcite, whatever color you use, it's a incredibly common crystal, takes out any energies that don't belong to the initial intention that we are working with. Depending on what calcite color you get, will go towards different chakras. So let's say I go for red calcite. That's going to be something that's more grounding towards my intention. Let's say you're a little too structured, you're holding on a little too tight to your goals, then maybe you should go for an upper chakra calcite, like green calcite or blue calcite for your heart chakra or your throat chakra, to leave some leeway and release some anxiety. That doesn't need to be present while you're meditating and while you're trying to prepare. The waxing crescent is all about preparing you to take action, but you're not taking action quite yet. New moon, we are aware of exactly what we want. Now it's time to create some sort of schedule and planning, and you're starting to get into this section of not taking action, but starting to write down what you're seeing, what you already have, what you're needing, all those sorts of things. Then once you feel secure with your intention and you have a plan, that's when the universe is like, okay, let's see how serious you are with this. We're going to throw a little challenge that you need to chip away at. That's going to actually be a building block to get to taking real action in receiving your intentions and goals. If you're like, no, I can't do this challenge, then you need to go back to your new moon intentions and reset them and see what you are actually willing to sacrifice to get that set intention. So we're in the waxing crescent phase. Gather a calcite. I want you to put that in your left hand, your receiving hand. And then I want you to have your labradorite in your right hand, your releasing hand. For this meditation, you're going to be meditating on the pressures you have in your life. And that's pressures, physical pressures. Like, are you feeling physically pressured by others? Are you feeling physically pressured at work, what you do, how you do things? Do you have emotional pressure? Are you emotionally sustaining your lifestyle? Do you have spiritual pressure? Your morals, setting intentions. Maybe that intention wasn't right for you at that moment, and you're realizing a challenge that needs to be overcome to obtain that certain intention. You may see a weakness. So revitalizing what pressures you have in your life, that's the meditation I want you to go into with some sort of calcite and labradorite. That being said, write these down. And like I said prior, you can do this meditation once. You can keep building off of it. It's an interesting one because you can be aware of one pressure. And now that you are aware of it, you can see how that pressure is affected in your social environment. You can start observing it, and then you can be creative and use that pressure. And sooner or later, after that first quarter, you can put it into your action plan and use the pressure as a positive rather than it taking energy away from your intention. That's exactly what I want you to do with it. So if you are going to meditate each day, keep asking what the pressure is, keep seeing how it changes, and observe. That's what this time period is for. So go ahead, use some sort of calcite. I can go over the calcites. Red calcite, if you have a lot of anxiety, go for the red calcite so it can ground you a little bit. And if you even are fearful of this goal that you've set, go for that red calcite. Yellow calcite. If you feel like you aren't strong enough or you need more support, gather that. Orange calcite. If you don't have any ambition, you're like, I made my goal and I'm just still not interested in it. Try orange calcite and see how it changes your drive, or it even puts a twist on remaking that intention. So you actually want to go for it. And when you do come across a challenge, you're excited to overcome it. You're like, no, I want to veto it because it's not worth it. Your new moon intentions should be so aggressive and have almost a lust for it that you will overcome any sort of challenge that comes your way to present to the universe that you are prepared to receive it. You are ready. You will withstand anything that comes across your path, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, that you will obtain that gift because you know it's already yours. And start writing those, what you observe, down as if it's already happened. Because in our timeline, it technically has already happened when you make intentions. You're just connecting the dots to it in a faster fashion. Calcites. Back to the anxiety. We went through red, yellow, orange. Next, if you are a bit depressed, if you are working, this is more for if you're working on an intention that you set back in December, January, February, March, April, any time before August, these intentions might carry some heavy weight because you may feel like you should have already accomplished them. Let's totally release the shoulda, woulda, couldas. Those are gone now. Those don't exist. It didn't happen then, but there's room right now for it to happen. And you should definitely look towards green calcite for your heart chakra. That's giving yourself some of that love, some of that reassurance that this is the right time for that intention. You couldn't process or fathom it in the past. Now, right now is the time to process it. We're in the prepping, processing phase, and you're ready for it, whether you like it or not, because you already said it. Blue calcite. This is if you're having trouble even expressing that past. You're like, I want to dilute my intention because maybe it was a little too wild when I said it back in February. No, it wasn't too wild. Maybe you had that self-doubt. You didn't have enough energy. It wasn't the right time, wasn't the right phase. Whatever happened back then, that happened back then. Right now, you're in the processing phase and you need help expressing it. Blue calcite. Then your white calcite. If you are in more of a need for a spiritual release, you're like, okay, I'm connected. My guides are showing me this, and it may be a bit overwhelming. Go for that white calcite. Go for the banded calcite. This will help you connect with your guides and see that maybe you had a soul contract. This goes a little bit further in if you've dipped further into the manifesting pools, per se. Use your white calcite. That'll help you connect that 9D and 5D manifesting patterns with what's happening right now, so you're not as weighted or depressed in thinking you should have gotten this done in the past because it's happening right now. Then, of course, your labradorite, or if you charged up an amethyst or iolite, whatever you're using as your new moon, that's going to be your releasing, because we're releasing that intention. We don't want to hold on to it because the universe needs to do its own thing with setting us up and preparing us. So pressure, checking out our pressure, observing it after we write it down, writing it down as if it has already happened, because we want to be past it so we can be prepared for our challenges. And this whole week up until the first quarter phase, we're getting ready so we can overcome that challenge. And when that challenge comes, it's not going to be like, oh my goodness, where did this thing come from? It came out of nowhere. No, you're going to be ready for it. That's why anytime before or after a first quarter and challenges come up, ignore them. You should be untriggerable. But during the first quarter, if a challenge comes up, you bet my ass I'm running right up to it and getting over it. So there's very different way of dealing with energies. There's times where you should go right up to a challenge and complete it because it was meant to be used as a building block. And then there's other illusions if there's a challenge before or after a first quarter phase that you should ignore and not let alter your own ego, your own energy. Now, we will be talking about, if you want to check out your Jupiter placement, and we'll be talking more about crystals to use and the shapes to use them and how it benefits you. That's for tomorrow. But go meditate, grab some calcite and your new moon manifesting piece, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Namaste, blessed, guys.